Okay. Can we see me now? Okay. Okay. Can we see me now? Can we see me now? Okay, that means I need to turn everything down. Okay. 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 Can we see me now? Can we see me now? Oh my goodness. I'm hearing stereo, surround sound, everything. Okay. Hello. It is your baby boomer Kitty Lane from the Peninsula in Virginia, back with another Create and Relate. So I'm gonna try to get used to doing this, y'all. I'm dedicated and I'm here. I feel a little better today. I got gout, as my grandson says, a gout in my right foot, and I have been walking around with this baby for the past couple of days. But it feels better today than it felt yesterday, and I'm good. My spirits are up, and I'm happy to see you all. So somebody tell me hi so I can make sure my chat is working, please. Hold on, let me see if I can get it up here. I put it on the TV because I can read it better. Of course, the writing is larger. Hi, Michael, my brother. How are you? You know, it's amazing that your comment posted at 12:02. That's my birthday. So, I have a question. Michael, I know you're doing your Tunisian, but I was going to do the hooded tutorial today. Would you prefer that we just crochet and talk, or would you really want to start that? I'm prepared. I'm prepared, but I need to know what you want to do. I'm doing a lot better. I am. I'm suffering with the gout now. Um, my doctor's appointments and all wanted to call like just before I went live. So the phone might ring, but they're going to be ignored. I can see the chats everywhere except on the TV. Let's see if that did it. I know, but I don't want to. I don't want to bore anyone. First of all, I still have, a little bit of an issue with that. And I wanted, to give people the opportunity to make that choice. Um, but because it's not long, and I think the other part of it is I don't know how to set up the camera and stuff so that it can show at proper angles. So I'm basically talking you through. I'm going to be doing it as well. So I can tell you this. We'll go ahead and do it. Hi, Michelle. Thank you. I love you too. Okay, so for the hooded, or what we were calling the balaclava um, fitted hood, I don't know why. I don't know how to change anything. Hold on, let me try something. Does that help any? I know we had a problem before. I was recording videos and it wasn't. Mm, Okay, does that help any? I went into my settings to see if I could do something there. Yay! I did it by myself. I did it by myself. Okay, so I can tell you that the lighting is not great because it's a serious overcast outside, but we do have a little ambiance going. We have our pink sands with the Yankee candle, so it smells all delicious and calming in here. And what you need for this is very simple. You know, we always start with our coconut oil. Got to keep the hands moisturized. Michelle, the only thing I don't have in here with me is my water. I do have my coffee. Um, when this is over, I am going to make my way back to the kitchen to get my water. I've been trying to walk on this thing as much as possible, and I keep flexing my toes so that it won't get stiff because there's nothing worse than having gout and it gets stiff. So I am going to drink water. I drink lots of water. I have been, at one point, I was drinking so much water, my doctors told me that I was actually drinking too much. So there's a healthy balance there, even. And I love water. I don't flavor it or anything. Just give me plain water. What I'm using for this tutorial, because I have learned to love my larger hooks, am using a 5.5, a 6.5. I'm using a K, wait a minute, y'all. I'm using 5, I'm using a K. I'm using a 5.5. I'm stepping away from the keyboard. Got to pick up the kids. Okay. But I'm using a 6.5 is what I'm using. And I think that's okay if I'm not mistaken. When I first started crocheting, I started with an H hook, a 5.0. And most of my life, I used that H until just before I started my YouTube channel, which I'm coming up on a year. April 27th will be a year. And I started using the larger hooks, and I was getting the results that I had wanted previously with the hooks. I don't know if you all know. I specialize in personalized crochet. So I did a lot of graph canning using a lot of single crochet, which is pretty tight when you stack them on top of each other. The picture's always pretty, but I would love to have had a little more flexibility. But now that I know that we have larger hooks that will achieve that, I've grown to love the larger hooks. So for this one, you will need really a hook of your choice, whatever you're looking for. I am using a K, a ruler or a tape measure, a yarn needle, and of course you need your scissors and your yarn. And I am using what I'm going to miss so much. I'm using Big Twist. I am using the Varsity Yellow colorway. It is a 4 worsted weight. And the longest thing about this is repetition and measuring. And of course, when you make it to fit, you got to keep checking it as you go. I think this would be something that's absolutely perfect for babies and small children, because if you notice when they have hoods on and they turn their head to the side to look, they will almost hyperextend their necks because they're trying to see. When you move in a hood, the hood stays and it blocks your peripheral. And kids being so inquisitive, and me too. I'm a big kid. I want to see what's coming. But the reason I did it was because I drive my scooter. I man my scooter, and I used to have rearview mirrors, but they were cheap and they lasted about 3 months. But I wanted to be able to see what was around me. And whenever I would wear my outer garments, I always had to take the hood off because I couldn't turn around and see what was coming up behind me. Being hard of hearing, I couldn't hear it until they got right up on me. So I came up with this. I always do my foundation row. How I start my slip stitch, always parallel my hook and my finger, one complete twist, yarn over, pull through. And that is how I make my slip stitch. And that's simplest for me. Now, the first thing you're going to do, should have done this first, but in the back of your neck, right at the base of your head, before you really get to your neck, you'll find two like large bones, usually when they're behind your ears. Usually when people say they have a massive headache, it's in that area that they'll start getting massages. On the inner sides of those bones is where you're going to measure. And mine is right at 3 3/4 inches. And I still didn't do it for you. There we go. Mine is right at 3 3/4 inches. So if you prefer to chain until you get to that mark. But if you like me, you're going to build your foundation row. And I'm using half double crochet. And I chain 2, yarn over, go back into that first chain and pull through. So I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 1, that creates your chain, yarn over, pull through all 3. So that is your first half double crochet. And you're going to yarn over, you're going to go into that chain you created. Make sure it's only 2 stitches because it's very easy to pick up 3 loops. You only want to pick up 2. You only want to go under that V. And you're going to yarn over and pull through. Once again, you have 3 on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 1, creating another chain. Yarn over and pull through all 3. And now you have 2. And you continue this until you reach your desired length. And we said that mine was 3 3/4. I do know that using an H or an I, generally 4 stitches make up an inch. But I am using a K. So it's not going to take quite 4. That's why you always want to make sure you measure. The first time I did this, I was actually measuring my head. Here we go. I thank you all for being here. My heart is singing. Come on, baby. There we go. The one thing I like about building your foundation row is if you're short or long, you don't have to go all the way back to that chain row and start all over again. You have one row of your work done, and it's so much easier. Now, what I had said prior to this is the fact that this connects to the turtleneck cowl. So I asked everybody to have their cowl ready, but we're not going to need it today. I want to measure this and see where I am. And I am right at 3 3/4. Go, kitty. Go, kitty. 3, 6, 9. And I actually did 12. Okay. So I have my desired width. Once you reach the end of that row, as much as I don't like to, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And then we're going to half double crochet in that first half double crochet. And your work facing you, you'll see a ridge right here. Those 2 loops make a ridge. For the remainder stitches, except the last one, you're going to go under both of those and make half double crochets all the way across. Okay. I don't know how to do this. Yarn over, go under both of those loops. You have a V on your hook. And you're going to pull through all 3. And you're going to do that until you get to next to the last stitch. So are any of you participating in the luck of the draw? I'm having so much fun with it. I have 9 projects going. I think that was the other reason I asked if we wanted to do this today, because the number for today has already come out. And I won't tell what it is. You have to go over and see Mama Swift. Okay, when you get to the last stitch, you are going to half double crochet in the top of that stitch, just as you did the first one. Welcome back, Michelle. So now we have 2 rows. Now you're going to continue this until you get up to the crown of your head. Once you put it on, it's going to slip down to probably to the height of your neck. But you want to crochet it up this far. And the reason it's going to slip down is because this is actually going to come down to the base of your neck. But you want to make sure that you have the proper coverage. You'll make up for everything once we get to the crown part and the forehead part, all of that. I understand. And when I stop this today, my hook is going to be just as busy, as I have 9 luck of the draw projects going and several other projects. I've got a blanket I'm working on for my daughter, which I call Crystal Pains. I'm making baskets to auction off at the end of the month. So I'm currently working on my 5th basket. They're going to be small, medium, and large. I have a knitted oversized scarf that I'm working on for my daughter. And then I have another one that I've started using the Warm Brights from Big Twist. So I have quite a lot. You don't see the steam coming from my hooks. Now, when you get to the third row, you're going to chain one and turn your work. And you're going to do the same thing back across. We're not going to make the quilted half double crochet, which I showed you before. We're just going to give it a little bit of thickness and just go in those back two loops. So it's almost like you're crocheting from bottom to top when you go in those. Make sure that you're only going under the V that's facing you. You don't want to roll your work over and go in that top V. You want to go in the V that's facing you. Sometimes they get so hot, Michelle, I can't handle them. Y'all, I actually slept good last night. It was amazing to wake up this morning and feel, good, feel rested. And then don't forget, when you get to that last stitch, that's when and that one you might have to roll your work back to you a little bit, because once you chain and turn, that particular stitch for some reason tends to want to lean with it, rock with it. So you want to chase it and pull it back before it goes out there too far. So this is what your work should look like so far. And what's creating that ridge is that front loop that you're not going into. But it also gives your work a teeny weeny bit of depth. It's enough to keep your head warm. And don't forget to chain one and turn your work. I know I'm constantly preaching. Don't chain, just turn. So I even had to get used to that myself. Are you all aware that Froggy Wanna Knitting, Jennifer, is accepting 6-inch granny squares? I've already packed up a bag of 36, and I currently have 16 more. So I want to get another 20. My goal was to do 100. I love making granny squares. I don't like putting them together. So I usually end up with a ton of granny squares laying around. And I was like, rather than do this, I will just donate them. But I've come up with all kinds of cutesy designs. Okay, those are hats. Like this one. And Michael, you'd be happy to know I used what I learned in Tunisian to do this, but this is, of course, is regular crochet. And what I did was I made the outer rim, which I think was 45 stitches. And then on my way back in, I crocheted all the way down to stitch 21. And then I gathered those 3 stitches to make my corner. And of course, it would decrease each time. It was 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, all the way to the end. And that's how I ended up with that square. I made a few of those. I was happy with those. I was like, go kitty. So that's a regular. Trying to get to the juicy ones. There's one. And I think this one popped just a little more. I like the colors of this one. That's a tad bit different than those, just a tad. And I never know what I do to the one prior to. I just crochet them up. I like this one because they actually look like petals or leaves, the green part. So those are those. Okay. So on mine, I've done 4 rows so far. And like I said, you just continue this until you reach the crown of your head. If you're doing this for a baby, I would suggest getting I'm going to see if I can say this right without messing it up. My mom was a health teacher. Occipital. I would get the occipital measurement, and I would measure from the base of the occipital, which is right here at your neckline, up to the crown of the head. And that way you would know how to, or what size to make for the baby. You can also get a doll baby that's life size, and I find that works as well. That way, if you want to gift it, you'll have the measurements you need to gift it. Everybody in my family was blessed with noggins the size appropriate for a lot of brain mass. So, short term, we got big heads. Thank you, Michelle. So, y'all see what I do. This is my day. I sit up here and crochet, and now I can add knit to that all day. And when it's nap time, I crawl back here on my pillow and I bed it down until time to go get the munchkins. I have a little bit of a knot trying to work here. There we go. I wish I had my other hood to go by, but Pebbles sent me 2 hoods, one fleece lined, both of them rain repellent, to cover me and my scooter. And that's what I was making mine for. And as soon as I got them in the mail, I was so excited. I ripped them that night. If you follow me in sign language, I frogged them that same night. I did, and once I got like down to this panel that we're creating today, I realized I should have kept that part, but I remember what I did, so I know I didn't write it down. And yes, I know, Michael, I should. I know. And you know what, Michelle? I think that a lot of us creatives are, you know, and I think it's an easy way to identify each other. I've not met a creative who was not intelligent. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some that do some not so intelligent things, but I find everyone that I've met to be intelligent. And I think it's a beautiful thing, especially in these days and times. I think we're gonna have to rely a lot on our creativity. So while I'm working this up, I want to tell you what I did for my grandkids. Because of the struggle, I am teaching my grandkids economics. And every week they get a paycheck. I have a bank. And the bank starts with its own money. We have $1 bills. We actually have $2 bills. I think I had nothing to do when I did that. Then we got 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, and 100s. And every week they start out with $200, and they understand that taxes have to come out. So they get to take home $160. And grandma tells them that they have to put $20 aside for savings. So what they have is 2 Ziploc bags, and they put $20 in their savings bag, and then they have their other bag to work from. Well, their rent is $40 a week, 25% of their 160. And their utility bill is $25 a week. So once they pay that and they see what they have left, that's their money for the week, and they're free to spend it how they want to, except when they get demerits. That automatically comes out. So when they don't do their chores, or we have to repeatedly tell them to clean up, y'all, then they get $1 deducted for each one of those. These two babies love to argue. So they know that every time they argue, it is a $10 penalty. And I told them, I said, y'all can keep it up, and when the money's gone, the money's gone. Every time they ask to eat out and they get it, it's $5 of their money. If we go to the store and they see a toy that they want, if they get it, it's $5 out of their money, or the cost of the toy if the toy is over $20. Because my grandson, if he sees you with a dime, now mind you, he's 7. If he sees you with a dime, you have money. So if you have money, he wants Burger King, he wants McDonald's, he wants Wendy's. And I'm like, baby, this dime that you found under the edge of my rug is not going to buy anything in Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger, not even a pack of ketchup. That's 30 cents. You're going to need 2 more dimes plus tax to get that. But I want to teach them the whole concept, because I said it in a video before. A lot of us, I think our parents did us a disservice, and I don't think it was intentional. I just don't think that they wanted to add that worry to us. But I stepped out in the world totally unprepared. Totally unprepared. I had to figure it out myself. And it was hard, I couldn't understand. I think my mom and I had a little bit of a falling out about it, actually. I said, I don't understand when you could have been teaching me this all along, and now I'm grown and I'm out here on my own. And now you want to exercise tough love. This is real life now. you know, how come we couldn't have done this before? But I was spoiled. I was spoiled, and whatever money I got for savings, I had several little banks. And whenever I felt like it, I would gather everything that I had from all my banks, and we would take it to the real bank and deposit it. And whenever we would go into stores and stuff, then I didn't spend my money. I did not spend my money. I spent my mother's money or my grandparents' money. And I still had my money to fall back on. To the point that when I got married the first time in 85, we had a wonderful little nest egg, but I did not know that I married a person who had a substance abuse problem and who was also, what is that association? UFC? Yeah. Oh, you know what, Michelle? You're right. You're right. Because it was always grown folks' business. Grown folks' business. Well, sometimes grown folks' business or some grown folks' business will impact us later in life. So we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared. And lots of times I don't think that's accounted for. So how's everybody coming along? It doesn't take long for the panel. Exactly. If you don't get the grown folks lessons, you don't know how to be grown folks. Say it again. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. I think that, and that is exactly why I did it for my grandkids, because I have two very special grandchildren. My grandbabies, I'm a typical grandma. My grandbabies are the cats meow. I have a 9-year-old granddaughter who was born with um, a disease called Hirschsprung's disease, which in a nutshell meant part of her digestive system was not working properly. So they went in and removed all of her large intestines, her colon, and her rectum. So her small intestines is connected directly to the anus. It takes her no time to process her food. And she can eat, which is a good thing, because if she was not an eater, if she wasn't uh, a healthy eater, she would not be getting the nutrients that she needs. If you see her, she's not skin and bones. She does not look malnutritioned at all. But she is on the small side, especially being from a healthy family. And healthy, I mean thick family. She's also autistic. She's level 2 autistic. She is verbal. And what we're working with her on is using her voice to speak. She speaks in a very high tone. She mimics Minnie Mouse, and we call it the baby voice. And sometimes we have to remind her that she's a big girl and she doesn't need to use her baby voice. We need to hear her voice. And she'll bring it down to her voice. And I mean, it's funny because when she's arguing with her brother, she uses her voice. It's only when she talks to us. And it's like, I think subconsciously to her, it's a tactic to get us to do what she wants us to do. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Um, when I was younger, I always wanted a lot of children, and I wanted 12 kids. I did. It was funny when I was a little girl. People would ask me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "A majorette, a nurse, and a mother of 12 kids." And they were like, 12 kids? Suppose you have a special needs child. I'm like, they need love too. Now, this is me at 4, 5, 6 years old. So then to be a grandmother of such, it's like I've always been mentally prepared for this. So it's just life for us. And you're right, my grandson is learning a different way of getting his way. And grandma is not happy with his way. Grandma's not happy with his way at all. Okay, so what you see me doing is going from the occipital. It's kind of hard to do because I got a little bun back there. So I'm going to the side of it to see if I'm all the way up at the crown of my head, and I'm not. I predict I have probably 3 or 4 more rows to go, which is good. Michelle, when I got a little older, that number went from 12 to 6, but it never dropped below 6. I birthed 4 children. I lost one to crib death, but I ended up raising 35, and I never complained. It's like I would wake up in the morning sometimes and there were extra kids in my house in pallets, sleeping on the sofa, sleeping in the chair, 3 and 4 kids in the bed. And there was one morning, bless his heart. I'll just say his first name because it's so common. But I woke up and William was there. And I was like, wait a minute, baby. Where did you come from? And how long do you plan on staying? He said, I'm not going back home. And I'm like, oh, Lord. At this time, I had adopted a young man. Oh, my goodness, y'all. His story touched me so hard. He was in second grade with my son, and he acted out in class a lot and living right across the street. And I was one of those parents that was over at school every day. I volunteered for everything they needed. I assisted them with fundraisers, the whole gamut. So every time he would act up, I would take him by the hand and we would just walk together. Um, this teacher, Pat, didn't mind at all. She was like, okay, as long as you bring a better student back. And you're right, well, Michelle, honestly, I was the candy lady. I was the candy lady of the neighborhood. But I'll say T. T and I would walk until he calmed down. And I noticed that he was wearing the same thing every day. And I became concerned. So I invited him to stay with us for a weekend. I said, but you have to clear it with your mom and your dad. And he said that his mom had expired. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to have to ask your dad. And he said, I'll ask him. I said, no, I need to talk to your dad. And I walked with him home, and there were no adults in the house. He was the only person. This is a second grader, y'all. A second grader. He was the only person in that house. And whenever the police would come by, we all had trap doors where we lived. And he would go under that trap door and stay under the house until the police left. And when I found that out, I petitioned to adopt him. And the city of Portsmouth allowed me to do that. They allowed me to do that. And he went on to go to college for computer science and something else. I all 35 kids. Excuse me. But yeah, he went on. He got his master's, and he's teaching at a college. It's either Minnesota or Missouri. It's one of the M states. Of all the kids that I raised, only one of them did not graduate high school. He got put out of 10th grade once he reached age. And I asked him, I was like, "You're too smart. Why? What's going on?" And he said, "Mama, they bore me." And I said, "He might be there. We'll talk. I'll let you know who he is." Um, I said, "This is the deal. If I send you to take the GED test, not send you to GED school, because I know how smart you are, will you pass the test?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said it without thinking. So I went and talked to his mom. Mind you, this kid had been staying in my house for a year and a half. So I went and talked to his mom because I really wanted them to pay for half of it. And told them my proposal. And I saw then why he was with me. She was like, "He's not going to amount to anything. He's not going to do anything. I'm not wasting my money. Don't even worry about it." I was driving cab at the time. I drove extra hard, make sure he had the money to go take the GED. He missed 2 questions only. So he passed the GED. He went on to uh, get married, got a job at Kroger's. He became the department head in the produce department. And then he became a floating manager for Kroger's in this area. He would go to different departments. And then they made him a district manager. So he has since retired. He's 41 now, and he's a stand-up comedian. To me, he's not funny, but I still try to support him. Y'all want to tell you how he came to live in my house? I had cooked. I forgot what it was, but I was on a roll with adding a dash of cinnamon to anything I fried, and it just brought the flavor. And when I say a dash, I mean a dash. And I fried shrimp. I fried large shrimp, not jumbo. But I bought 4 pounds of these shrimp. I made potato salad. I made spinach. I always let the kids eat before I did. They were in high school at the time. I'm like, "Okay, you're good." I went in the kitchen to get something to eat, and there was not a shrimp in there. There was not a shrimp in there. I ain't one but three. And everybody, I went back in the room. I didn't have to part my lips. And all the boys pointed to him. Because he's a public figure, now I can tell you his first name is Barry. Um, y'all, I was so disappointed. I was so upset with Barry. I, for years, I told Barry, "Boy, you owe me shrimp. you you owe me shrimp." Oh my goodness. I was so upset with him. Okay, I am right at the base of my head up to the crown of my head. That's where you want to be. And at this point, you're going to add one more row, but you're going to decrease both sides. And when you turn your work, you're going to pull up your 3 loops in that first stitch. You're going to go right into the second one and pull up. So you have 4 loops on your hook. Pull through all 4, half double crochet across to your last 2 stitches. And when you get to your last 2 stitches, it's the same thing. Start with that half double crochet. And I don't yarn over on that second part because I want to kind of deep, and it doesn't look like it from here, but when you get to the top, you will see where it is. At this point, I tie off. And Mama C taught me how to tie off. Chain 2, snip it. Okay, what we're going to do is go back to the bottom of this piece. I'm going to talk you through this part. This will probably be the longest part of the hood. If we hadn't been talking so much, we'd probably be into this part, but it's good. And all we're going to do is go around 3 sides. And you're going to turn your work, come back around. So you're going to do this in rows and not in the round. Okay? I'm going to start on this side where my tail is so I can work it in as I go. My daughter was watching me crochet the other day and she said, Mom, you look so unorthodox right now. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to make it work. She said, you look like a kid trying to get that stitch just right. And I was. I don't generally have a rule going up the side, especially with the half double crochet. I just try to make sure my stitches are even. And whatever I do up one side, I make sure I do down the other side. If I had, say, 30 stitches going up this side, then I need to have 30 going down the other side. We don't increase in our corner. You know, Michelle, it took me a long time to get to that point, and I thank my youngest daughter for that, because every single morning I wake up to good morning, pretty. Okay. Okay. Rest well, babies. And thank you so much for being here, Michelle. Thank you. But I struggled with loving me for so long. And I know it was, because of, my past. I understand that now. And like I said, every morning, I wake up to good morning, pretty. And I say, good morning, beautiful. And I love my baby girl's confidence. Uh, she used to be on the thicker side, and she made up her mind to lose weight. And I declare this baby dropped almost 100 pounds in no time. She walked everywhere, every day. I love you, Michelle. But I mean, when I tell you she walked, she walked. And sometimes I look at her and she has the longest, most beautiful eyelashes, natural. And I'll look at her and I'm like, baby, you're so beautiful. And she's like, I know, I get it from my mama. And it just makes me smile. I had an issue with the size of my nose. And then I never knew my father. I never had the opportunity to meet my father. But something wonderful happened when I was 53. I was booking plane tickets to go spend time with my son. And while I was waiting for everything to be verified, just on a fluke, I went to findme.com, which was the white pages, and they had a $1, um, y'all know what I'm trying to say, trial subscription. So I signed up and I typed in my father's name. And whereas I had tried to look for him before, every time I would type his name in, I would get this long list of people by that name. Well, this time I got 3 hits. So I wrote all the information down about those 3 and I immediately canceled my subscription. I felt like 3 was good. I felt like the universe was falling in line. It was telling me something. And I went on and put that piece of paper in my bookcase and left it there for a month. When I finally pulled it out in August of that year, I knew one of the members was deceased. In my heart, I felt like that was my father. And then there was another man by the same name, so I felt like that was my brother. And then there was a young lady who shared the last name, but all 3 of them knew each other. So I tried to find her on Facebook. Her first name was Universal. So when I put it in, guys kept coming up. And I felt like with a middle name like Ann, this has got to be a female. So I kept stressing the middle name and I never could get anything on Facebook. So then I finally put in the guy's name. And this one guy came up and I showed the picture to my daughter, same baby girl. And I said, this is my brother. She said, okay, so what are you going to do about it? So sitting in the doctor's office while my granddaughter was had a follow-up visit with her surgeon, um, I reached out to him, and in minutes he got back to me and said, wow, I'm your first cousin. You have 3 brothers and a sister. That I felt like I was on a TV show. I felt like this only happens to people on TV, but it's happening to me. And I was excited. I did get to meet my middle brother, and I got to meet my sister before she passed. She passed away last year. Um, I wanted a relationship with them. I guess they don't feel the same. I finally got past that point, but I had a really, really hard time up through, most of last year dealing with that. But it is what it is. You can't make grown people do what they don't want to do. Am I right about it? Thank you. Yeah, but I never knew my father coming up, and I fought because I knew what the structure of a family should look like. I was raised by my grandparents, so I know I was familiar with the mother, father. I was familiar with the mother father concept. I just had a message to pop up. I needed to see what it was. Um, but that wasn't in our household. It was just me and my mom, and that was cool. That was cool. But the bad things that happened, the bullying, the having my childhood taken away, um, the fisticuffs in later relationships. I always thought I wasn't pretty. I wasn't, I always thought that it must have been me. It was something wrong with me. And when I decided to eradicate foolishness from my life back in 2017, it has been a glorious 8 years. March 24th will be my anniversary, and it will be 8 years. And it has been a happy 8 years because I don't allow nonsense in my space. I don't allow people to come in and tell me that I'm any less than who I am, because I know that God did not make junk. He didn't. He made each one of us as individuals. He made each one of us beautiful. And whether I'm beautiful to you or not, I know I'm beautiful to him. I know he made me beautiful. Therefore, I know I am beautiful. And I thank him every day for giving me so that I can give me back to him. I think that's the best way I can put it. So I hope that we have had fun. I was hoping I was going to get all the way around. Maybe if I rush it, because I'm already over my time. I'm over my time. I'm over my time. Don't mean to be. At least I was on time when I came in today. I'm excited about that. I had to learn which buttons to push. I went a slightly different route. I was going to go through YouTube itself, but I really want to learn StreamYard. I really want to get better at all of this. So I had to go cancel that after that live was scheduled, but I think I was able to do it. All right. So once we go all the way around, we're going to continue this until we get about an inch back into your hairline. So that's something that you all can work on until Tuesday. You will notice where your hood will start folding in, and that's exactly what you want it to do. You want it to start folding in because it's going to fit your head. It's not going to be any slacking or any lacking anywhere. This is going to literally mold around your head. Okay? So keep that in mind as you work on it. I am going to put this up because, like I said, the number for luck of the draw has been drawn. And I have 9 luck of the draw projects. I have more granny squares to make. I have a scarf that needs attention. I have a knitting project that needs attention. And I have another blanket that needs attention. So I have to make all of that work. I want each and every one of you to know that I love you. The outro is changing. And all I'm going to say is be bold, be brave, be of love, and behave. I love each and every one of you. And until we see each other again on these YouTube streets,